Hello and welcome to Quiz Class. I'm your host, Ellen, and today we have 100 questions on general knowledge. Let's take a look at our Quiz Class awards. And here they are. Let us know how you rank in the comments at the end, along with the answer to the bonus question. So let's begin. What is the world's largest freshwater fish? Nile perch, beluga, sturgeon, or Mekong giant catfish? Beluga sturgeon. Who was the first person to reach the summit of Mount Everest without supplemental oxygen? Reinhold Messner, Junko Taibei, or Edmund Hillary? Reinhold Messner. Which scientist first proposed the three laws of planetary motion? Tycho Brahe, Galileo Galilei, or Johannes Kepler? Johannes Kepler. What is the largest island in the Caribbean by area? Hispaniola, Jamaica, or Cuba? Cuba. Which element has the highest electrical conductivity at room temperature? Aluminum, copper, or silver? Silver. Which country was formerly known as Siam? Cambodia, Thailand, or Laos? Thailand. Who discovered the circulation of blood in the human body? William Harvey, Hippocrates, or Ambrose Paré? William Harvey. What is the world's highest uninterrupted waterfall? Victoria Falls, Angel Falls, or Yosemite Falls? Angel Falls. What is the largest city in Africa by population? Johannesburg, Cairo, or Lagos? Lagos. Who was the first Japanese author to win the Nobel Prize in Literature? Yukio Mishima, Yasunari Kawabata, or Banana Yoshimoto? Yasunari Kawabata. Which planet has the most extensive ring system? Neptune, Uranus, or Saturn? Saturn. What is the world's largest coral atoll? Rangiora, Bikini Atoll, or Kwajalein? Kwajalein. What is the only continent located entirely in the southern hemisphere? Asia, Africa, or Australia? Australia. Which chemical element is named after the Greek word for green? Chlorine, iridium, or chromium? Chlorine. What is the capital of the Canadian province of Manitoba? Calgary, Edmonton, or Winnipeg? Winnipeg. What is the smallest bone in the human body? Femur, stapes, or fibula? The stapes. What is the largest lake in South America? Lake Titicaca, Lake Maracaibo, or Lake Puopo? Lake Titicaca. Excuse me, Lake Titicaca. Who was the first person to propose the existence of the neutron? Niels Bohr, James Chadwick, or Ernest Rutherford? Ernest Rutherford. What is the currency of Denmark? The krone, the pound, or the krona? Krone. Which country is the world's largest producer of coffee? Peru, Brazil, or Ethiopia? Brazil. Who was the first female Nobel laureate in peace? Bertha von Suttner, Malala Yousafzai, or Mother Teresa? Bertha von Suttner. Which chemical element has the atomic number 79? Mercury, silver, or gold? Gold. Which planet in our solar system has the most massive moon? Jupiter, Neptune, or Mars? Jupiter. What is the capital of the Indian state of West Bengal? Chennai, Kolkata, or Hyderabad? Kolkata. Which African nation was formerly known as Abyssinia? Eritrea, Somalia, or Ethiopia? Ethiopia. What is the largest landlocked country in the world by area? Mongolia, Kazakhstan, or Chad? Kazakhstan. Who was the first human to journey into outer space? Yuri Gagarin, John Glenn, or Alan Shepard? Yuri Gagarin. Which language family does Finnish belong to? Slavic, Uralic, or Germanic? Uralic. What is the world's largest hot desert outside of the polar regions? Arabian, Kalahari, or Sahara? Sahara. Which country is known as the land of the white elephant? Myanmar, Cambodia, or Thailand? Thailand. What is the most populous city in South America? Buenos Aires, Sao Paulo, or Lima? Sao Paulo. What is the chemical symbol for the element tungsten? W, Tu, or Tg? W. What is the world's largest archipelago by area and number of islands? Japan, Indonesia, or Greece? Indonesia. Who was the first female head of government in Europe? Siramovo Bandanaraki, Angela Merkel, or Margaret Thatcher? Siramovo Bandanaraki. Which element is named after the creator of the periodic table? Mendelevium, Lawrencium, or Bohrium? Mendelevium. What is the capital city of the Canadian province of Alberta? Regina, Vancouver, or Edmonton? Edmonton. What is the official language of Bhutan? Nepali, Dzongkha, or Tibetan? Dzongkha. Which country is the only one to border both the Atlantic and Indian Oceans? South Africa, Mozambique, or Namibia? South Africa. What is the largest bay in the world by area? Bay of Bengal, the San Francisco Bay, or the Hudson Bay? The Hudson Bay. What is the world's largest inland body of water by surface area? Lake Victoria, the Caspian Sea, or Lake Baikal? Caspian Sea. Who was the first person to reach the North Pole? Roald Amundsen, Robert Peary, or Ernest Shackleton? Robert Peary. What is the capital of the Australian state of Tasmania? Canberra, Melbourne, or Hobart? Hobart. What is the national flower of Japan? Cherry blossom, lotus, or tulip? Cherry blossom. Who was the first African to win a Nobel Prize in Literature? Ngugi wa Thiong'o, Chinua Achebe, or Wole Soyinka? Wole Soyinka. Which planet has the shortest orbital period around the Sun? Venus, Mercury, or Jupiter? Mercury. What is the only country to have a flag with a single color and no design or insignia? Libya or Yemen? Libya. Who was the first woman to win the Nobel Prize for Literature? Selma Lagerlöf, Pearl S. Buck, or Toni Morrison? Selma Lagerlöf. What is the smallest independent country on the African mainland? Gambia, Swaziland, or Lesotho? Gambia. Which chemical element has the symbol Sn? Sodium, tin, or selenium? Tin. Which mathematician's work laid the foundation for computer science and the concept of an algorithm? Ada Lovelace, Henri Poincaré, or George Boole? Ada Lovelace. The Great Game was a rivalry primarily between which two empires for influence in Central Asia? Ottoman and Persian, Britain and Russian, or the United States and Japan? Britain and Russia. Which ancient city, now in ruins, was the capital of the Hittite Empire? Mycenae, Persepolis, or Hattusa? Hattusa. What is the only mammal native to the Hawaiian Islands? Hawaiian monk seal, Hawaiian hoary bat, or the Polynesian rat? Hawaiian hoary bat. Which explorer led the first successful expedition to reach the South Pole? Roald Amundsen, Edmund Hillary, or Ernest Shackleton? Roald Amundsen. Which chess player became the youngest ever world chess champion at age 22 in 1985? Anatoly Karpov, Magnus Carlsen, or Garry Kasparov? Garry Kasparov. The Green Revolution in agriculture was spearheaded by which scientists? Fritz Haber, Norman Borlaug, or Rachel Carson? Norman Borlaug. In which country is the world's largest cave by volume, Song Duong, located? Vietnam, Malaysia, or Indonesia? Vietnam. The painting Las Meninas is considered a masterpiece of which artist? Hieronymus Bosch, El Greco, or Diego Velázquez? Diego Velázquez. What is the only country in the world with more than 800 spoken languages? Papua New Guinea, Indonesia, or India? Papua New Guinea. In which year did the Chernobyl nuclear disaster occur? 1988, 1986, or 1991? 1986. Who composed the opera Wozzeck, a landmark of 20th century atonal music? Paul Hindemith, Igor Stravinsky, or Alban Berg? Alban Berg. Who was the first person to win the Nobel Prize for Literature from China? Mo Yan, Gao Jingyang, or Ha Yin? Gao Jingyang. Which city hosted the first Winter Olympic Games? Chamonix, Oslo, or Garmisch-Partenkirchen? Chamonix. The Antikythera mechanism, an analog computer, was discovered in the waters off which country? Turkey, Egypt, or Greece? Greece. Which mathematician introduced the concept of a set in mathematics? Blaise Pascal, Georges Cantor, or Évariste Galois? Georges Cantor. What is the world's largest subtropical desert? Patagonian, Kalahari, or the Arabian? Arabian. What is the capital of the Canadian territory of Nunavut? Iqaluit, Churchill, or Yellowknife? Iqaluit or Iqaluit. Which chemical element is named after the Greek word for hidden? Argon, krypton, or xenon? Krypton. What is the only country in Central America where English is the official language? Belize, Guatemala, or Honduras? Belize. Which African country was formerly known as Zaire? Gabon, Central African Republic, or the Democratic Republic of the Congo? The Democratic Republic of the Congo. Which South American river has the greatest discharge volume of water in the world? Amazon, Magdalena, or Orinoco? The Amazon. What is the most massive known star by solar mass? Betelgeuse, R136A1, or Antares? R136A1. Who was the first woman to win the Nobel Prize in Economic Sciences? Eleanor Ostrom, Joan Robinson, or Janet Yellen? Eleanor Ostrom. What is the capital of the Indian state of Kerala? I will say A, B, and C. B. I'm not going to even try that one. Which country is home to the world's largest ice sheet outside of Antarctica? Greenland, Norway, or Russia? Greenland. Who developed the first programmable mechanical computer, the analytical engine? Alan Turing, John von Neumann, or Charles Babbage? Charles Babbage. Which city is known as the Pearl of the Danube? Vienna, Budapest, or Belgrade? Budapest. Who was the first person to win an Olympic gold medal for cross-country skiing? Thorleif Haug, Ueko Hakulinen, or Bjorn Daly? Or Daly? Thorleif Haug. What is the rarest naturally occurring element in the Earth's crust? Promethium, francium, or astatine? Astatine. Who is the only author to win the Booker Prize twice for fiction? J.M. Coetzee, Hilary Mantel, or Margaret Atwood? J.M. Coetzee. Which river forms much of the border between Germany and Poland? Oder, Elbe, or Rhine? Oder. What is the highest capital city in the world by elevation? Quito, La Paz, or Thimphu? La Paz. Who was the first woman to win the Pritzker Architecture Prize? Zaha Hadid, Lina Bo Bardi, or Kazuyo Seijima? Zaha Hadid. Which planet has the largest number of confirmed moons as of 2024? Neptune, Uranus, or Saturn? Saturn. Which ancient mathematician wrote The Elements, a foundational work in geometry? Euclid, Eratosthenes, or Archimedes? Euclid. What is the only continent without an active volcano? Asia, Europe, or Australia? Australia. Who was the first female astronaut to travel to space twice? Eileen Collins, Peggy Whitson, or Sally Ride? Sally Ride. Which city hosted the first United Nations General Assembly in 1946? Geneva, London, or Paris? London. What is the capital of the U.S. state of Vermont? Stowe, Rutland, or Montpelier? Montpelier. Who was the first person to win the Nobel Prize in Literature for writing in Spanish? Octavio Paz, Pablo Neruda, or José Echegaray? José Echegaray. What is the only country in the world whose flag features a map of its territory? Fiji, Cyprus, or Bangladesh? Cyprus. Who was the first person to reach the Challenger Deep, the deepest known point in the ocean? Robert Ballard, James Cameron, or Jacques Piccard? Jacques Piccard. Which Asian capital is located on two continents? Tbilisi, Ankara, or Baku? Ankara. Who wrote the play Long Day's Journey into Night? Thornton Wilder, Arthur Miller, or Eugene O'Neill? Eugene O'Neill. What is the largest freshwater lake in the world by surface area? Lake Superior, Lake Tanganyika, or Lake Baikal? Lake Superior. Who was the first president of independent Kenya? Uhuru Kenyatta, Daniel Arap Moi, or Jomo Kenyatta? Jomo Kenyatta. Which bird is the fastest in level flight? Golden eagle, the peregrine falcon, or a common swift? Common swift. What is the only country in the world that is also a city-state located on an island? Monaco, Malta, or Singapore? Singapore. What is the only country in South America that has both Atlantic and Pacific coastlines? Venezuela, Brazil, or Colombia? Colombia. What is the capital of the Indian state of Assam? Kolkata, Dispur, or Shillong? Dispur. And for our bonus question, what is the largest city in the world by population within city limits, not metro area? Let us know the answer in the comments. And of course, how well you did with our quiz class Einstein rewards. Thanks for playing, and we will see you next time. Bye bye.